Welcome, my friends. I am Dr. Mandell, and today we're talking about something critically important for all seniors, vitamin B12. And I'm going to tell you something you probably haven't heard before. Most seniors are taking vitamin B12 the wrong way, and it's preventing the body from absorbing what it desperately needs. Stay with me to the end, because once you understand this, your energy, memory, and nerve health can dramatically change. Most people believe that taking a daily vitamin solves the problem. But for millions of seniors around the world, the truth is far more unsettling. Because even though they swallow that pill every morning, even though they eat what looks like a balanced diet, even though they believe they're doing everything right, their bodies are silently starving for one of the most essential nutrients for human life, vitamin B12. And the reason is simple, shocking, and backed by decades of scientific research. Most seniors cannot absorb B12 the way they used to, not even close. Inside the stomach, something begins to change as the years pass. It happens slowly, silently, and without warning. The cells responsible for producing stomach acid begin to weaken. By age 60, studies show that up to 40% of adults have significantly reduced stomach acid, and by age 70, that number climbs even higher. This isn't just a small inconvenience, it's a biological shift that affects every organ, every nerve, every memory, every breath of energy the body tries to create. Because vitamin B12 doesn't simply get absorbed when you swallow it. The body requires a precise sequence of biochemical events just to release B12 from food. First, strong stomach acid must break down the proteins that hold on to B12. Then, special proteins called intrinsic factor must bind to it. Only then can it be absorbed in the small intestine. But when stomach acid is low, this process collapses. B12 stays trapped, absorption plummets, and deficiency begins. Researchers at Tufts University discovered that nearly 1 in 2 older adults has inadequate B12 levels, many of them walking around with symptoms they assume are just aging, but they aren't. They're the physical warning signs of a body struggling without the one nutrient that keeps the nervous system alive. Fatigue that seems to cling to the body no matter how much someone sleeps. Memory lapses that feel frightening and unexplainable. Tingling in the hands or feet that arrives without warning. Muscle weakness, mood changes, dizziness, difficulty focusing. These symptoms are common in aging, but they are also the classic red flags of B12 deficiency. And the alarming truth is that many seniors are misdiagnosed with cognitive decline or depression when in reality, their cells simply cannot obtain the B12 they need. Scientists call vitamin B12 the guardian of the nervous system. Without it, the protective myelin sheath surrounding nerves begins to wear down, like electrical wires losing their insulation. Messages between the brain and body slow, balance changes, reaction time changes, memory changes, but because the process is gradual, it often goes unnoticed until years of damage have built up. What makes this even more concerning is that many seniors believe that taking a multivitamin or eating a diet rich in eggs, dairy, or meat is enough. But the data tells a different story. The National Institutes of Health reports that food-bound B12 malabsorption, the inability to extract B12 from food, is one of the most widespread nutrient problems among older adults. A person can eat all the right foods and still receive almost none of the B12 inside them. Even supplements can fail. The most common form found in multivitamins, cyanocobalamin, must still pass through the digestive system, still requires conversion, and still relies on processes that weaken with age. The stomach, once a powerful engine of digestion, becomes less efficient, and the chemical machinery the body once used effortlessly now struggles to keep up. Meanwhile, medications that millions of seniors rely on every day make the problem worse. Acid-reducing drugs like proton pump inhibitors and H2 blockers, medications used for heartburn, reflux, and ulcers, are known to significantly reduce B12 absorption. In long-term users, deficiency skyrockets. Metformin, one of the most common medications for type 2 diabetes, has also been shown in research to deplete B12 levels over time. People who depend on these medications may unknowingly be depleting one of the most vital nutrients for their nervous system. And so the cycle continues. A senior feels more tired, they take more naps, they blame the memory issues on age, they assume losing balance is part of getting older. They write it off when their hands get numb or their feet tingle. They don't know that B12 deficiency can masquerade as neurological disease. They don't know that low stomach acid is quietly blocking absorption. They don't know that even a clean diet may no longer be enough. What makes B12 deficiency especially dangerous is that symptoms can take years to appear, and once nerve damage progresses too far, it can become difficult to reverse. Scientists warn that chronic deficiency is often missed until the nervous system begins to show signs of distress. By then, the simple act of absorbing B12, the very process the body depends on, has been malfunctioning for years. Yet the solution is within reach. When seniors understand that the issue is not the nutrient, but the ability to absorb it, everything changes. It becomes clear why energy fades, why memory blurs, why nerves tingle, why muscles weaken. The body is not failing. It is asking for what it can no longer extract on its own. The tragedy is not that B12 deficiency is common. The tragedy is that it is preventable, detectable, and treatable, and most people never hear the truth. They never learn that aging alone changes absorption. They never learn that stomach acid declines naturally. They never learn that their symptoms might not be aging at all. They never learn that B12 is the nutrient that keeps red blood cells carrying oxygen, keeps nerves firing smoothly, keeps the mind sharp, and keeps the body energized. Imagine how many lives could change if seniors knew the real reason their bodies feel different. Imagine how many could regain clarity, balance, strength, and vitality simply by understanding the root cause. Imagine how many years of silent deficiency could be prevented. The research is clear, the science is consistent, the message could not be more important. Millions of seniors are walking through life believing they are aging, when in reality, their bodies are calling out for vitamin B12 they can no longer absorb the old way. And once you understand this, once you see the truth behind the exhaustion, the forgetfulness, the numbness, and the fog, you realize that the problem isn't hopeless. The problem is solvable. And understanding this is the first step to reclaiming health, energy, and longevity. Most people don't realize that the very supplement they trust to protect their health may be the exact one their body cannot use. Millions of seniors walk into pharmacies, pick up a bottle labeled vitamin B12, and believe they are doing something good for their energy, their memory, their nerves, their heart. But what they don't know, what almost no one tells them, is that most of those bottles contain a form of B12 that the aging body struggles to use, a form that requires conversion steps the body can no longer perform efficiently, a form that may be doing far less than people think. And the truth behind this has stunned researchers for years. The most common B12 found in supplements and multivitamins is cyanocobalamin. It's cheap, it's stable. It is easy for manufacturers to produce. But inside the human body, especially the aging body, it becomes a different story. Cyanocobalamin must be converted by the liver into its active forms, methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin, before the cells can use it. But studies show that as people age, the enzymes responsible for these conversions decline. The system slows. The transformation becomes inefficient. And the result is that much of the B12 taken in cyanocobalamin form never becomes biologically active. Researchers at the University of Oxford have documented that older adults have significantly impaired B12 metabolism, meaning their bodies often cannot complete the final steps necessary to convert B12 into the form the brain and nerves require. This means that a senior may take B12 faithfully for years and still remain deficient at the cellular level. And the symptoms, fatigue, memory lapses, numbness, mood changes continue to creep in. But the most astonishing part is that scientists have known for decades that the human body prefers the active forms, methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. These are the forms naturally found in human tissues. These are the forms the brain uses. These are the forms that power the mitochondria, protect the myelin sheath, create neurotransmitters, and regulate gene expression. These are the versions the body recognizes instantly. No conversion required, no bottleneck, no metabolic strain. They enter the bloodstream ready for action. Yet the majority of the supplements lining store shelves still use cyanocobalamin. Even worse, the digestive system often prevents B12 absorption altogether. When a senior swallows a pill, it enters a stomach that likely produces much less acid than it once did. The stomach acid that is required to release B12 from binders, carriers, and proteins is no longer sufficient. And as stomach acid declines, B12 absorption drops dramatically. Research from the National Institute on Aging reveals that older adults absorb far less B12 from oral pills than younger adults, even when doses are identical. This is why sublingual absorption, placing B12 under the tongue, has become a breakthrough for many seniors. When B12 is absorbed through the capillaries under the tongue, it bypasses the digestive system completely. It doesn't matter if stomach acid is low. It doesn't matter if the intestines are inflamed. It doesn't matter if intrinsic factor levels have declined. Sublingual absorption gives the body a direct pathway into the bloodstream, delivering B12 where it can be used immediately. And when that B12 is in the form of methylcobalamin, the results can be remarkable. Studies show that methylcobalamin is more efficient in supporting neurological function. It participates directly in methylation, the biochemical process that affects DNA repair, detoxification, mood chemicals like serotonin and dopamine, and the production of energy inside the mitochondria. This is why methylcobalamin is often the preferred form in clinical trials studying cognitive decline, neuropathy, and nerve regeneration. Adenosylcobalamin, on the other hand, is the active form stored in the mitochondria. It fuels energy production, supports muscle function, and helps break down fatty acids for fuel. Together, these two active forms, methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin, represent the full spectrum of B12's power. They support the brain, they support the body, they support every cell that relies on energy. Yet, millions of seniors continue to take cyanocobalamin without realizing that their bodies may be absorbing only a fraction of it. Some may not absorb it at all, and as the deficiency deepens, the consequences worsen. Researchers have shown that untreated B12 deficiency can mimic dementia, it can mimic depression, it can mimic neuropathy, it can mimic chronic fatigue, it can mimic balance disorders, it can lead to irreversible nerve damage if neglected long enough. Imagine someone feeling their memory slipping away, believing it's aging, when in reality their brain simply isn't receiving the methylcobalamin it needs to maintain neural pathways. Imagine someone feeling their feet burning or tingling, thinking it's circulation, when it may be B12 deficiency, starving the nerves of the protective insulation they once had. Imagine someone waking up exhausted every morning, blaming stress, when the mitochondria in their cells are desperate for adenosylcobalamin to produce ATP, life's essential energy molecule. The tragedy is not that cyanocobalamin exists. The tragedy is that people are not informed about the differences, that seniors are left to guess which form is best, that they assume all B12 is the same, that they cannot see what is happening behind the scenes inside their own cells. And this is why so many people who switch to sublingual methylcobalamin notice changes quickly, sometimes within days, sometimes within hours. Their bodies finally receive B12 in a form that requires no conversion. Their cells are finally supplied with the nutrient they've been missing for years. Energy production increases. Neurotransmitters rebalance. Red blood cells mature properly. Nerves conduct signals more efficiently. The body begins repairing what it could not repair before. Researchers estimate that nearly 20% of older adults have functional B12 deficiency even when blood tests appear normal. This happens because serum B12 tests often measure inactive forms circulating in the bloodstream, not the active forms actually being used by the cells. This means an older adult may be told their B12 levels are fine, even while their brain and nerves are starving for methylcobalamin. And so the message becomes clear. The form matters. The delivery method matters. The science matters. A supplement only works if the body can use it. And for seniors, the right form of B12, taken in a way the body can absorb, can become one of the most powerful tools to protect memory, energy, nerve health, and vitality as the years go on. Every day, millions of seniors sit down for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, believing their meals are giving them everything they need to stay strong, stay sharp, and stay alive. But behind the scenes, something very different is happening. Because even the healthiest foods, even the meals packed with nutrients, proteins, and vitamins, can still leave the body desperately underfueled if one thing is missing: the ability to absorb vitamin B12. And as one study after another continues to reveal, this hidden nutritional crisis has become one of the most misunderstood health challenges of aging. But there is hope, powerful hope that begins the moment a person starts combining the right foods with the right form of B12 in their daily routine. Because research shows that when seniors use food strategically, when they pair it with the kind of B12 their cells can actually use, the body responds with remarkable improvements in energy, cognition, mood, nerve stability, and overall vitality. The change begins with small decisions made every day, decisions that determine whether the body continues to decline or begins to rebuild its strength from the inside out. Most people don't realize that B12 isn't just another vitamin. It is required for the formation of red blood cells, which carry oxygen to every organ. It is required for the synthesis of neurotransmitters, which regulate memory, focus, and emotional balance. It is required for myelin, the protective coating around nerves that prevents degeneration. Without B12, these systems weaken. But with it, especially in the right form, they begin working with a level of efficiency many seniors haven't felt in years. But food alone often isn't enough. Scientists from Johns Hopkins reported that seniors commonly experience food-bound B12 malabsorption, meaning they cannot access the B12 trapped inside the foods they eat, even if those foods are rich in it: eggs, dairy, poultry, meat, fish, all excellent sources, but only if the stomach can release the vitamin. And with age, stomach acid naturally declines. This means a senior can eat a perfectly balanced diet and still remain deficient. And yet food still matters, because when seniors add even small amounts of B12-rich foods throughout the day, the body receives additional nutrients that support overall health, even if the B12 extraction is limited. Eggs supply choline, which supports brain function. Salmon supplies omega-3s, which protect the heart and reduce inflammation. Dairy provides calcium and protein. Nutritional yeast offers B vitamins that help convert food into energy. These foods, when used correctly, create a nutritional foundation the body can build upon once proper B12 supplementation enters the picture. But the difference becomes astonishing when seniors pair these foods with sublingual methylcobalamin, the active form of B12 that bypasses the digestive system entirely. Because suddenly, the body is no longer fighting to extract B12 from food. It no longer depends on weakened stomach acid or reduced intrinsic factor. Instead, the cells receive B12 directly into the bloodstream, ready to support the brain, the nerves, and the metabolism immediately. This combination, food for general nourishment and active B12 for precise cellular support, is what transforms health from the inside. Imagine a senior beginning the day with 2 eggs, not just for protein, but for choline and naturally occurring B12. Imagine them adding a sprinkle of nutritional yeast to their lunch, providing a boost of energy supporting B vitamins. Imagine them having salmon or tuna just once or twice a week, feeding the brain with omega-3s and the body with high-quality protein. These simple meals create a steady nutritional baseline, a foundation the body needs to function properly. But then imagine that person placing a sublingual methylcobalamin tablet under their tongue. For 60 seconds, the nutrient absorbs directly into their bloodstream, bypassing every barrier that age has placed in its way. For many seniors, this precise combination is where the transformation can begin, because for the first time in years, the body is not simply hoping to absorb B12. It is receiving it directly, immediately, efficiently. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that sublingual B12 delivers measurable increases in active B12 levels far more effectively than traditional oral supplements in adults with absorption challenges. And the results can be felt. When B12 levels rise, red blood cells become healthier and more efficient at carrying oxygen. Cells produce energy more easily. The brain synthesizes neurotransmitters necessary for concentration, memory, and emotional stability. The nerves regain the nutrients required to maintain their protective insulation. People begin to feel clearer, calmer, more awake, more stable on their feet, more able to engage in life. But what makes this daily strategy so powerful is its simplicity. It does not require radical diet changes. It does not require complicated routines. It requires only a shift in awareness, a recognition that the body needs both nourishment and bioavailable B12 in order to thrive. When a senior incorporates B12-rich foods throughout the day, they support their body with balanced nutrition. And when they add the right form of B12, methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin, they give their cells the exact tool they need to restore function. Studies show that seniors who improve B12 status often experience measurable improvements in cognitive performance, mood stability, physical energy, and nerve comfort. Some report reduced tingling, others notice clearer thinking. Many notice they no longer feel the overwhelming fatigue that once controlled their day. And while B12 is not a cure for everything, nothing is. The research is unshakably clear. The body cannot function at its best without it. Every meal becomes an opportunity, a chance to support the body with nutrients that protect the brain, feed the muscles, strengthen the bones, and calm inflammation. And every sublingual dose becomes a direct infusion to the cells that govern mental clarity, nerve stability, and energy production. When combined, these daily habits can create a noticeable shift, sometimes subtle, sometimes dramatic, but always meaningful. Because aging is not just a process of decline. It is a process of understanding what the body needs now in this season of life. And vitamin B12, taken in its active, absorbable form and paired with nourishing foods, can become a powerful cornerstone of that process. It supports independence, it supports vitality, it supports the sharpness of mind and strength of body that everyone deserves as the years go on. And sometimes it all begins with one small change, made consistently, every single day. Please share this video with loved ones. It can truly help someone who's struggling and doesn't know why. I love and appreciate you. Make it a great day.